9 p.m. right now. So we're live on the station right now, WSU Radio, St. John's University, Mad Max on the airwaves with the one and only, the legendary MC Serch.
What up, Mad Max in the... Are we allowed to cuss? No. Effing building.
They could take it out of my tuition. I do too much.
Yeah, no. We do not want that. We do not want... We want to save every $7,500 of your summer semester money that we can.
Oh, yes. But Serch, how are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm on this side of the grass, bro. At this age, this side of the grass is a good day, man. So I feel good. I'm happy to be here with you, Mad Max. Shout out to all 15 people listening at St. John's University. I love all of y'all. Shout out to Queens, the Q Borough. Congratulations, my homeboy Nas, for winning his first Grammy.
Yep.
Queensbridge represent.
That's right. It's long overdue. I can't believe he never won a Grammy for Illmatic or even It Was Written.
It was not the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that about Biggie. You can say that about Wu-Tang. You know, those records weren't even being acknowledged to be Grammy worthy during those days. But you know what? King's Disease was a great album, and him and Hit Boy did an amazing job. And I'm just really, really very, very thankful to be a very minor footnote in his incredible career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially did a lot for hip hop. I want to go back to all the way to the beginning of when you first started rapping. If you could tell a story of the first time you picked up the pen and started recording.
I mean, you know, it's kind of what we did. You know, it was just there was no culture. There was no, business. It was just either you danced on the floor, you wrote on the wall, you DJ'd in a park, or you rapped at a party. And that's kind of what we did. And, it was made known to me very early on that white people were visitors in the culture, and that you could have a seat at the table, but you couldn't put your feet up on the couch. So I didn't really have a lot of understanding that it would be something that I could do as a career. But it was something that I wanted to chase. And I had a very supportive mom and dad who, allowed me to chase it. And so I started to write about little things. One of the first rhymes I wrote was about Georgetown, Villanova, and Villanova beating Georgetown. And back in 1984, Georgetown goes down. Was one of my first rhymes that I wrote. Just it went from that to battle rap. And because it was a competitive sport back then, it wasn't a business. And one thing kind of led to the other, and I got the opportunity to make demos and record, and the rest is history.
How do you feel about rap being more of a business now than a sport? Because I have my own opinions about it. I'm someone that loves the bars, loves the real rap, and someone that actually paints a picture with their rhymes. I can give you a perfect example of an artist that you've even had on your show that's been on mine, Bobby J from Rockaway. Amazing.
I mean,
artist.
Shout out to Bobby J. Shout out to Lil D. I think that the beautiful part of social media right now is that it allows, bars on I-95. It allows, caffeine. It allows this battle rap leagues to have legs. What I don't like about it is that what tends to happen more times than not is that bars lead to guys behind bars. So, there's a lot of violence now associated with it. So I personally feel that the culture of battle rap is incredible if it can stay within the confines of battle rap. And I love, I'm not one of these dudes that's like old and salty about, da 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 da. I love new artists. I love artists that reinvigorate, you know, making music, you know, and creation of music. I love that, you know, Freddie Gibbs is having a resurgence in hip hop. I love, you know, again, I love Bobby J. I think he's just a tremendous talent, regardless if he's from my hood
Yeah.
or not from my hood. You know, I love Dave East. I think there's still, you know, Benny the Butcher, obviously,
Conway.
without the whole Griselda,
Yeah.
Bodie James. Like, you know, there's just so many amazing artists that are having this resurgence of, you know, lyrical flexibility. But that does not diminish artists that are, you know, there to, and, you know, create fun and have a good time and just ride a beat and feel good, you know. And we had that level of that back in the day too, you know. I tell people all the time, like, you know, yeah, we had, you know, Nas and, you know, but we also had, like, you know, the rapping Duke, and we had, like, you know, we had fun records, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't always about, like, you know, um lyrical gymnastics every time you turned around. So, you know, there's a balance of that. There's a balance of that. You know, Pee Wee Herman and you know, B Fats the Wop, and, you know, there was just, so you can't take yourself too serious at any one point or another point. You know, I'm a victim of that because I felt like I had to protect the culture because I was a visitor, and I felt like, you know, I had to, you know, protect it from people that I saw as, you know, leeches, if you will.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my job. You know, ultimately, it wasn't my job to do that. So, you know, I still listen. I still love new music. I was just listening to Benny's record with Harry. You know, I just love also discovering there's an artist out of Atlanta named Surf who's a fucking monster.
Mhm.
Obviously, OT the Real out of Philly and Boston is a fucking monster. I'm sorry. Uh, Whatever that they took out of your tuition, I'll reimburse you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just love. There's so many great, talented MCs, females too.
Yep.
And I just had this conversation with Bun B. You know, when you listen to the baby, like, the baby got bars. Like, he
Yep.
got bars. Like, separate the slang and separate the, you know, discomfort, whatever you feel about, like, the way his draw is, his southern draw.
Mhm.
If you look at what he's saying and how he's saying it, the kid's an animal. His last 16 at the Grammys,
Mhm.
when he talked about, like, eating up his things like Pac-Man, like he's gonna leave in a Lambo and probably get pulled over by the cops leaving the Grammys. Like, come on, man, stop it.
Yeah.
Like, yo, like, that's monster. That's
Yep.
monster bars. Roddy Rich, same thing. Lil Baby did the same thing. Like, you know, it's compelling, it's exciting, it's reinvigorating
Mhm.
to this. And if you're, you know, a dude over 30 and you're stuck in your ways, you're missing out on so much.
Yeah. I'm a guy who's 21 who's stuck in my ways because I grew up listening to Third Base, NWA, Wu Tang, all the 90s and 80s hip hop. I was schooled by my parents by it, and it just kills me to see where hip hop is at. And thank God for artists like Griselda. And you're right, the baby does have bars. There are artists, if you listen carefully and closely, you can hear that they do have bars.
Yeah, and again, I think that, like, you know, while, so you have two choices, right? You can
Mm.
be salty, and you can just, you know, hate the world. You know,
Yeah.
be a typical kid from Queens who's a Met fan, Knicks fan, and Jet fan, and just hate the world. Or how about this? How about you can find the artists that give you joy?
Yep.
And again, whether that's a Ray or Ghost tape from 20 years ago, great. But wouldn't it be great if you could become a Dave East fan? Like, how dope would that be? How dope would it be that, you know, you could become an OT the Real fan?
Yep.
Like, how dope would that be if you listen to this kid Surf and his, you know, sustaining injury EP? Like, to me, life is not about being stuck in an era. It An era cannot define you.
Mhm.
It just, it's not the way the world's supposed to work.
Yeah.
The way the world works is time goes on, and as time goes forward, you adapt, you learn, you grow, you change, and you fall in love with things over and over and over again. It's a cycle. And if you get stuck being a Rolling Stone fan, well, eventually the Rolling Stones are going to disappoint you. And is
Exactly
that
right.
really what life's about? You know what I'm saying? You were mentioning my Doc Gooden behind me. Shout out to my man, Ben Baller. I keep that behind me because it's the best of everything.
Yeah.
Like when Ben designed this, this card,
Mhm.
it's the pen and pixel from New Orleans. It's the Apple here. It's Ben Baller did the card, but it's also the greatest time for a Met fan ever.
Yep.
So it's this whole collaboration of all these things that either I love or appreciate, and they all kind of collide, right?
Yep.
It's traditional and non-traditional all in one.
Mhm.
And I'm always going to be that dude. I'm not going to be, I really refuse to be the guy who's over 30 and it's like, I only listen to rah, rah, rah. Like, no, I'm gonna listen to everything, because if it moves me, I'm gonna listen to it. And I'm the one who's on that piff, and I'm on the one. I'm on. I stay on. Rap Caviar. I stay on that hot new. I stay on. I stay on listening to dudes that I'm like, wait, what did he say?
Yeah.
Let me go back. What did he? What? You know. And that's also my new movie on my. My new movie on my IG is like, yo, how do you support artists you love? You buy their ish.
That's right.
You buy the ish. I bought Droog's new record. I bought Bobby's new record. Like, you support artists you love. I buy books. I buy movies. Like, that's what, that's how you support artists you love.
You're exactly right. I think people would love to hear the story as I've heard it before, but I want everyone to hear in the audience right now. I know you and Pete Nice were introduced a few times in the beginning, but the first time that you guys actually were solidified as the group Third Base, was it the story when Words of Wisdom came together?
So, yeah. So, I had already had a demo. I was about to talk to a label. And my man, Sam Sever at the time, called me and said, yo, you should come by the house, and had me bop in. He had helped out my old partner, who I guess got stood up in the studio. Uh, I think that's how I remember the story. And when I got to Sam's house, he was there and he played the Smiths sampled record, and I heard his verse, and we wrote we wrote 3 songs that night. And the next day I was supposed to meet this dude, Steve Rabowski from A&M Records, because he was going to sign me to a solo deal. And I told him I wasn't in a group. I wasn't solo anymore. I was in a group. And we called the group on the spot, 3 the hard way. It's me and my old partner and Sam. And he didn't get the group thing, and he left. And maybe an hour later, Russell and Lior called me and kicked me out the studio, told me, yeah, I screwed everything up. I screwed the deal up, and yada, yada. And it took us another 2.5 years to get back in the good graces with Russell and Lior, and put out the Third Base album.
And that's how the Cactus team came together. It's a
Yeah, yeah.
classic. It's a certified classic.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I know for a fact that if I would have signed my solo deal, that I either would have been whack or I would have been unheard. It was the wrong label. It was just all wrong. And everything happens for a reason. And regardless of where me and my old partner are today, I can honestly say that making that record and making that album were was the greatest moments of my career. And we would not have had success individually the way we had it as a group.
There's so many stories that you can hear behind the tracks with Sons of Third Base that had to do with Beastie Boys. And I can't believe I read the story online, just what Mike D did to you back in the day when you left his apartment. I can't believe that.
Yeah. I mean, look, Mike, I had no idea, when I read the Beastie Boy book, I had no idea he was tripping on whatever he was tripping on, whatever chemical substance, but he lived right up the block from Russell, and we were having a really rough time with Russell at the time. We were already signed, but he wasn't putting out the record. And I went over to his house, and the captain, may he rest in peace, Sean Karasov, was sleeping on the couch, excuse me. And I remember it differently. I don't remember it the way Mike told it in the book, or told it. The way I remember it is I went into his apartment and I asked him his advice about how to deal with Russell. Mm-hmm. And he gave me great advice. Yeah. It's like, look, he said, make sure all your paperwork's correct. Make sure you got a great lawyer. Russell's pretty funny with the money. Make sure you get your accounting done. He's like, one of my biggest challenges with Russell is that he would say one thing and do another. And, I was like, yo, I really appreciate that. Thanks. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm walking out the door, I say goodbye, and he starts throwing things at me. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Yeah. But the thing about Sons of Third Base was that, like, I don't know, maybe it was just before our record came out. It was before, but Paul's Boutique came out. Mm-hmm. And we had already been making noise. And it was in Spin Magazine. And they asked Mike what he thought of Third Base. And Mike said something to the effect in the magazine, like, yeah, I know Serch. He came by my house. I threw things at him. And I was like, word? All right. And that's how Sons of Third Base got created. Like, but, also selfishly, we also put Sam Sever in a tough spot because Sam was like really close with those dudes. So it hurt Sam because Sam potentially or wound up not working with those dudes ever again. So, yeah. Again, now we're just, I'm not cool with those dudes. Yeah. It's a different time. And like Mike said in the book, when we talk about family and we talk about Judaism, and philosophical beliefs. But my personal favorite is that I was able to make peace with Yauk and had him on my syndicated radio show when he was doing Gunning for the Number One Spot, his documentary on street ball. So we were able to have him on the show, and we had a great conversation. And then I played Sons of Third Base, and he made me promise him to play the Nutty Professor record, Silly Professor, excuse me. And so I was like, all right, I'll do that. But we were able to make peace. So that was really, really important to me.
Mm-hmm. There's just so many history and stories comes out of the Cactus, and you guys weren't afraid to attack another artist, especially the Beastie Boys, whether it be MC Hammer and later on Vanilla Ice. You guys stood your ground. You stood for yourselves.
Well, yeah, we had no choice. That's kind of where we come from. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a kid from Queens, so you get it. Like, you don't back down for nothing, So, our attitude was, really simple. Like, we're dope, you're whack, prove us wrong. And that was always our attitude. We were like, yo, we're dope, you're whack, prove us wrong.
And they weren't able to, that's for sure. The Gas Face, one of the most all-time legendary hip-hop records. Still hear it today. I had people in the comments on my Instagram post saying that they still even say you get the Gas Face to this day. People who grew up in that era. Where did the Gas Face come from? Because I've heard stories of where MF Doom has said that it's usually a face that a woman would make.
Yeah. So, the Gas Face was a term that, my crew from Long Beach, the Get Yours Posse, GYP, created. So it was, we were a crew about 30 deep in Long Beach. I was already making records independently outside of like Third Base. I had 2 independent singles, and I would bop around Long Beach thinking, I was the business. And I first met a homeboy named Ahmed, and then his man Otis, and then he introduced me to Daniel and Doom and Heem and Dim and all Zev Love X and all that. And I always told Zev, like, I was like, look, when I get on, you get on. It's, it's the way it's going to be. But Friday and Saturday, we would go from Long Beach to Roosevelt Field Mall. Um, we'd all hop into my homeboy, well, not my homeboy, I should say, Zev's homeboy, Dad's Eldorado. We're just a bunch of teenagers. So, you could fit like 20 dudes in that car. Like that car was as big as a boat. Yeah. But, we had a rule, which was we had to fill it up. We had to fill the car up. We all had like $5 between us. You know what I mean? It's like, barely had enough money to get over there. But we had to fill it up. So we would, whatever little money we had, whatever little money we make, we chip in all our gas money into this, big ass Cadillac, get over to Roosevelt Field Mall, kick it with girls and try to get numbers. Mm-hmm. And, we broke. And girls in Roosevelt Field Mall from Hempstead, from Lynbrook, from Merrick, they got money. Yeah. Even like Malvern chicks, Merrick chicks, Baldwin chicks, like all them chicks had money. And even though we were in Long Beach, we didn't, So when we try to kick it to a girl, they would scrunch their face up, like give us this crazy face. And one day, Sub Rock said, man, we came out here and spent all our gas money to get a face like that. So then we just started saying the gas face. It just became the term. And that was like, oh, he gave you the gas face. She gave you the gas face, like that. But that was like our little, little in pocket term. Yeah. So, we were doing 2 songs with Prince Paul. One of them was Brooklyn Queens. Mm-hmm. And we were like, yo, let's do the gas face. Let's just make the song with the gas face. And we were like, yo, Zev, jump on this record with us. And that's kind of, how the term gas face came about.
The video is legendary. You have everyone in there: Flavor Flav, EPMD, Salt and Pepper. It's an iconic video.
Yeah, we had Kid and Play.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we had everybody. It was fun. It was a fun shoot.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize, was funny was when Eric Sermon started singing "Get the Gas Face" and "Get the Bozak." Like, that was kind of weird. Like, I don't know how, or I think Lionel Martin convinced him to do that. And we had Gilbert Gottfried in the video playing, Mr. Weasel. It was a fun video, man. It was a fun video shoot. My now wife was in the video with a hot comb. My man Dougie Doug, who's a great comedian, was in the video. But it was just, I think the fun part of it was, the real fun part of it was that, Step Into the AM was already popping. So, Gas Face was like the record we always want. Well, at least for me, it was the record I always wanted to have. Because when that record started to pop, I was a club kid. Like, I would be at, if I was in New York, I was at 7-8 clubs a week. I just ran the streets, and there was one point where you couldn't go into a club and not hear Gas Face. Mm-hmm. Not even if the DJ knew we were in the building. Like you just sneak in, and in the peak of the night, you'd hear the record and everybody go crazy and start dancing. I was like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going, good night. Like, I'm done. So the video was really about like already a record being a hit. So it was really about having fun. And all we had to do is step to Sonic, like Run DMC, hitting the hammer at the end of the video. Like, it was all about like just family. It was just really family. It was like everyone that we loved, that loved us. Like, it was just, it was really, it was, to coin a phrase that your young people use, it was lit.
Yeah.
And it was, it was really lit. We had a really good time.
Yep. It looks that way. And I can't believe to this day that MC Hammer won't admit that he put that hit out, because it's so obvious that he did. And just look at the video.
Yeah, well, he can't, because there is no, I forget, I'm sorry, because I'm not a street dude, but there's no, There's a legal term for it. There's no
was it statute of limitations?
Yeah, there's no statute of limitations on attempted murder.
Yeah.
Or putting out a contract on somebody. So there's no statute on it. It's funny because I was on a Clubhouse call recently, and he was in a room. It was the Howard University 30th anniversary of the hip hop conference, the first one there. Mm-hmm. And I was talking, and Hamill talked a little bit after me. And people giving him a lot of accolades, and well deserved. Like, guy had, sold huge records, tours, the whole thing. And the person who was running it sent me a text and was like, "Yo, you should take this opportunity to make peace with Hammer." And I was like, FOH. I mean, and it's funny because I spoke to my homeboys afterwards, and I probably just should have said, "You know what, dude, I didn't even say the line myself."
Yeah, it was Pete Nice on the Cactus.
I'll apologize, on behalf of the group, and and I should make that kind of amends with the kid and just like whatever. I couldn't come to terms with it, but I don't think I'll ever come to terms with it. I'll tell you a story. Mm-hmm. You're a local dude, so I'll share this with you. About 5 years ago, I got approached by a television company to do a show on my life called They Call Me Serch. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it was around, what happened with Hamill. And in order to do the show, they had to get his permission. And the producers met with him, and he was down to do it. But they had to ask him, like, "Yo, what's the deal?" And while he wouldn't say yes or no, what he did say is, "They shouldn't have dissed my mama like that." And the producer was like, "Oh shit." Like, Anyway, he wanted to do the show, but only if he could be the hero. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, he wanted to do it so that at some point when we approached that section, he wanted to approach us, the fictional version of us, and say, with his mom, and say that he didn't do it because his mother said it was the wrong thing to do. Like, he wanted to be the hero. And I'm like, yo,
yeah,
whatever. It's television. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like, you want to do it. That's what you want to do. I don't care. But he got mad because I'm still telling the truth over and over again, telling people the truth. So he got mad and he said he didn't want to do it. So I'm in the middle of writing my memoir, mm-hmm. in the process of doing it. So I don't really talk about it because I'm going to get into like detail about it in my book. But I will say this. There's no statute of limitation on, putting a hit out on somebody. So if he ever admitted it, it's his jeopardy, right? It's his jeopardy. But I honestly shouldn't have to ever apologize for that because I didn't have nothing to do with it. Like, now, mind you, and I just said this in another interview because somebody said it to me. They were like, "Yo, didn't you realize like how it could be taken?" And I said, "No, I was in the studio. That was like lyrical wordplay.
Yeah.
Like, we dissed his album. Our album turned Hammer's mother out. Like, let's be clear. Like, we are lyricists.
Yep.
I love my mother. May she rest in peace. If I ever thought that my ex-partner was dissing his mom, like, I would have stopped it. Like, I never would have let that happen. Or we would have questioned it. We would have said, "Yo, how's that going to look to somebody who's not a lyricist?" We never in a million years thought that would be taken out of context. Like, we never did. Like, it was what it was. We're MCs. Yep. And MCs get down. That's how we get down. So even going back to what you're saying about like, the battle circuit, right? So if I said a line like that, would somebody step to me? Maybe, maybe not, but I get why. But
100%.
Let's be real clear. Like, there was no intent to diss his mom.
Nope.
None. It was wordplay. pure and simple. You don't diss Run DMC. You don't diss Jam Master Jay, may he rest in peace. You don't do that. Like at that time, you don't do that. And again, it goes back to my self-centeredness and my ego saying, yo, can't have you out here dissing Run DMC. Just can't. No. But it was not my fight. And it wasn't even my words. But I'm the one who
took the
caught the
brunt of
heat
it.
because I'm the one who's still out here.
Yeah. You took the brunt of it. And you shouldn't have to apologize. If anything, you should figure out what the deal was and realize, because he started it all. He started the beef.
Regardless if he started it or not, right? Like at the end of the day, I'm a grown man. I can be the bigger person.
Yeah.
And I should be the bigger person, right? Regardless, I should be the bigger person. I should just say, yo, look, you're going to do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. We're never going to cross paths. If we ever cross paths, let's just, whatever it is, let it be whatever it is. But you know what? I apologize. If that's how you took it, I apologize. Yeah, I can say that to you because I'm not in a situation where I actually have to say that. But for somebody to say it to me, to tell me that that I should do this, I should be the bigger person. I just responded, ha ha, FOH, no. And then I left the room. I'm not there to make, peace with a dude that,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
don't
took a
blame
hit
you.
out on me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's not, again, I'm a more mature person. I'm in a different place in my life. I'm away from the streets that I ran in, regardless of how I was brought up, regardless that I was in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom cottage house in Far Rockaway. Like, regardless if my mom and dad were together their whole lives, like that's not how I was brought up. I was built different. So, where I come from, that's not how you settle things.
So. You're exactly right.
Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. I don't blame you at all. And it's not your fault. Hopefully things eventually just clear on their own, but like it shouldn't be on you. I think that's the most important thing.
Listen, if I get to a place where I can just be like, you know what? All right, fine. Then that'll be the situation. All right, fine. But for right now, there's no reason to.
Yeah, no, not at all. I want to get into Zev Love X. As people may not know, especially in the younger generation, that is MF Doom. KMD. You were also in the video for Peach Fuzz. Classic record.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was my word I gave to Sub Rock and to Doom was when I get on, they get on,
Yeah.
So as soon as we had the opportunity to, get them a record deal and a production deal, we did. They were both always super talented. Like, even the younger brother Dim and their sister, they're like incredibly talented human beings, like just an amazing family of talented people. But I've said this now a million times, and unfortunately I've had to say it 1,000,001 now with you, Max. I don't know Doom. I don't know MF Doom. I know Zev Love X. I know Daniel Dumile. When Sub Rock died, Zev died with him, and he disappeared from my life forever. And so I don't know, the guy who made Operations Doomsday and Food, and I just know him through his music. Mm-hmm. But there was always a part of me that thought I would be able to make amends with him. We would always find that place. And when he died, his brother Dim, his younger brother, who's the last remaining, brother, told me that about a month before his brother passed, that he told me, he told Dim to tell me that we were good. Like, he had no ill will towards me. Like, he understood why I did what I did, which was I had to disconnect from them. I had to disconnect because I had to make a choice. I was put in a situation where I had to make a choice. Was it my wife, or was it my friends? And it's not even a choice. I chose my wife. In retrospect, I could have made 100 other choices that all were allowing me the ability to keep my wife and my family. The fact of the matter is, I was put into a situation where I inaccurately felt compelled to make grown ass decisions at 23 years old when I was not a fully formed human being, when I was not a fully formed grown up. Couple the fact that I'm immature, couple the fact that I'm running around the world with like 30 bands in my pocket at 23 years old, couple the fact that I'm living like the life of Riley, all of that. Plus I've now manifested my dream life. I was not in a place to be making the decisions I was making as a young man. I also didn't trust anybody. And I also not only didn't trust anybody, I didn't have anybody who is the voice of reason in my head. So in retrospect, things could have been handled a million ways that didn't result in the group breaking up. Could have been handled in a million different ways. And I don't know where we would have wound up being. We might have been super whack. Mm-hmm. I know that if I would have done things differently, I would have done KMD without the dude I used to rhyme with. Like they would have been down with me. I would not have felt like, oh, I got to put you on and you on because you're my man too. Like I should have been savvier. I should have had more business sense. I didn't. And I learned that later when I protected Nas and I protected OC and I protected nonfiction and I built Echo. Like I had a different sensibility. I was built different. However, I should not have allowed that dude that I rhymed with to be a part of my cipher. And that was the mistake I made. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that would have kept Sub Rock alive. I don't know none of that. I just know that the path I chose at the time led me to the person I trust the most in my life, the person that I trust with my life, which is my wife. Queen's thoroughbred through and through, Elmhurst Queen, who has given me 3 beautiful children and has given me a beautiful life, and has been a woman who has dealt with a whole lot of things that a trillion other women would have not dealt with, and just wrote it out with me. But again, and I'm sure you've heard it, so I'm not going to say anything you don't know, but youth is wasted on the young. You know what I'm saying? So if I could go back to 23-year-old me, I'd be like, jerk off, douchebag, listen to me, calm down. It's not about you. Take a breath. Go walk it off. Take a breath. Look at what you built. Look what you can continue to build. You don't have to include everybody in your business. But I didn't have, let me rephrase that. I did have people around me. I just didn't trust them because I didn't know what their agenda was. My whole thing was, oh, of course you're going to say anything you want to say to me. Of course you want to keep the group together. We're your money train. Crazy talk. It's crazy talk.
It is.
Yeah. So if I could go back to, the young version of me, prior to that, I would have made different decisions. However, those decisions did lead me to make a solo album. Those decisions did lead me to marry my wife early. Those decisions did lead me into a studio where I met Nas. All of those decisions led me to the decisions that, changed my trajectory for the rest of my life.
And it's great to hear that there's just a relationship that you have with your wife, and you have someone that's held you down and understands who you are, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. As long as you have that one loyal person, that's all that matters.
Yep, absolutely.
I want to get into the sophomore album as well, Derelict to the Dialect. That was the first cassette tape that I bought, because I'm someone that goes to record stores and collects old school records and cassettes. That was the first cassette I ever bought. And you have it right there. Wow.
This is the Challenger coins that we're putting out this year.
Oh, it's the coins. Wow. That's fire.
Yep. So that's, 30th anniversary of that and 30th anniversary of this.
Pop Goes the Weasel. Classic.
So we're going to be putting out these Challenger coins this year, and you'll be the first one to see this too.
Oh, wow.
Challenger coin for KMD, Mr. Hood. 30th anniversary.
Legendary.
Yeah, we had a pretty good year in 1991.
Yep. You did. Did Vanilla Ice ever respond to Pop Goes the Weasel? I want to hear from your side of the story, because I don't think he had the balls to, but.
No, I don't think, well, I think there was like, I'm trying to remember. I don't think there was a direct. So kind of three things happened. And again, you'll have to excuse my memory. So three things happened. Thing one was there was this big conference back in the day where all of the retailers, back in the day, because that was all hip hop was, Tower Records, J&R Music World, Sam Ash, Warehouse Music in LA. Like, everybody had, George Daniels Music Room in Chicago. You had Peaches in South Carolina. Like, there was all these different stores. And that's all, so there was a big presentation that every label had to do. And somebody at our label at CBS thought it'd be dope. I have to find this tape somewhere. It's incredible. To do like artists in just weird like partnerships. So we did Pop Goes the Weasel. The presentation for Pop Goes the Weasel and Derelicts of Dialect was called Pop Goes the Polar Bear. And it was with the Polar Bear Club in Coney Island. Mm-hmm. It was the day they were going into the water. Beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. Freezing outside, like 12 degrees, something crazy. And we're having like me and my old partner having a crazy time. Our man Shamik is with us. Shamik winds up getting in his drawers and goes in the water, freezing water with these dudes. And he just got out of lockup. Like, he just came back from the bang. Like, and we're just having fun. We're just having a blast. And we do Pop Goes the Weasel. And we do like a verse and a chorus. And people know what's coming, whatever. And we just hear back from all the label people, like every record store is excited. They're all anticipating, blah, 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 blah. And then we think about the video, and we always wrote our own treatments. We're like, this is the treatment we're going to write. But, the director was incredible. This guy, Jesse Himmelman, incredible. And then the video comes out, and Henry Rollins, Black Flag plays Vanilla Ice. It's just crazy video. We have a great time doing that. We're in LA having a good time. And he starts to hear like the record's coming, whatever. Yeah. But his career is like doing this. Even though he's touring and, he's making all this money, he's on road with Hammer, his career's doing this. Yep. And our record starts doing this. Like, I mean, it's a rocket ship. Yep. So we find out like in the middle of like the record release that we're going out on tour. So we're like, all right, we gotta go ham. We gotta just go hard. So we hear about this young group in LA that's popping. And we're like, all right, we got to take those dudes on the road. And we had our homeboys, Greg Nice and Smooth B, were like, oh, they've never been on like a national tour. We're going to take Nice and Smooth. This is going to be family. Yeah. And we heard about this group, Cypress Hill. So we're like, yeah, all right, let's take them dudes. But our label was like, oh, but you got to also take Tim Dog because he got a record F Compton. And we're like, yeah, all right, whatever. We'll take him on half the tour. We're not going to take him on the whole tour. We'll take him on the East Coast tour because, but Easy's my man. Dre's those are our people. Yeah. And like we didn't want to slap him in the face. So all of those dudes in some connection, way, shape, or form had people that knew ISIS people. And he just got shook or some, I don't know what it was, but there was something. And then he just got quiet and then he disappeared. And then 4 years later, he comes out with dreads and puts out a single talking about hip hop's a culture. You got to respect the culture. He's smoking weed in the video, looking crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And all of this to say that I don't think we were the nail in the coffin, but certainly he was putting his own nails in the coffin because, you know, the stories were coming out that he really wasn't from the streets of Miami. He was from, you know, he's middle class dude from Dallas. Yep. He didn't own anything because Suge Knight hung him out of a, you know, a balcony in LA. Like, you know, there was all this crazy talk, like he wasn't who he said he was. Yep. So we weren't really concerned about it. Our main reason for making Pop Goes the Weasel so that we could go to pop radio and tell people about A Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah, De La Soul, you know, Naughty by Nature. Like, why are you playing these two meatballs when there's so much great hip hop you could be playing on pop radio? Like, pop radio shouldn't even be pop radio. Why are you playing Wilson Phillips? Nobody cares. Yep. Like, that's not popping in the street. And what happened, you know, turns out, you know, whatever years later, pop radio is hip hop radio, right? Because there is no such thing as pop radio anymore. Nope. What does Z100 play? Z100 plays Cardi B, Migos, Sweetie, you know, Megan Thee Stallion. Like, you know, maybe there's a Nick Jonas record in there every once in a while. And even that sounds like R&B. Yep. Justin Bieber's whole record, his new record, which by the way is incredible. Mm-hmm. It's an R&B record. Pretty much. So, I mean, so again, so it's, I like to believe that, you know, we saw the future. I don't think that's accurate. We had an agenda. We had a clear-cut agenda. Let's take a crazy pop hit, victim music, and make senseless rhymes fit. I guess it's the fact that you can't be autistic, intricate rapping becomes so simplistic. We had an agenda. We went to pop radio with an agenda. We didn't intend to actually have a pop hit. We thought urban radio would embrace us and allow us to continue to have the voice. What happened was we crossed over. And once we crossed over, we didn't know how to get back. But we also didn't have time. We didn't even give ourselves a chance to get back because by that time also, you know, things are kind of going off the rails. Yeah.
Just a legendary track in and of itself. Green Eggs and Swine is one of my favorites too.
Mike Techniques is my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. That's my third favorite on the album.
I mean, and you know, for me, the biggest moment in my career was opening up the Source magazine and those lyrics being the dopest rhymes of the month, and me being, you know, the first white boy to have dopest rhymes of the month in the Source. Like that to me was like, you know,
yeah, that's major. And speaking of other things that were major, I had Father MC on my show a few months ago, and he told me that he said those white boys shut the Apollo down.
We definitely did. We had a, you know, Father. It's funny because Father's from Far Rockaway, like he's from our hood. Father and I were supposed to battle, like at the Inwood YMCA, and he fronted. But you know, separate from that, I digress. Like we tore down Harlem. Like we weren't just tearing down the Apollo. Like Harlem Week, they would bring us to Harlem Week. We would shut Harlem down, like shut it down. Yep. And I don't know if we sold out the Apollo. Well, maybe the tour did, but I mean, to perform at the Apollo, I mean, that was just crazy. I mean, forget about Showtime at the Apollo, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And Rap Mania, which was crazy. But to come in and sell out the Apollo, it might have been one night or two nights. I mean, that was crazy. Like, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
To sell out all of your favorite venues. Well, we didn't do Madison Square Garden, not even with Public Enemy, but to sell out, you know, Nassau Coliseum with Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a kid from Queens who used to go in there and watch the Islanders.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, not in my wildest dreams would I believe that would have been my future.
And it was cemented a very well respectable legacy. I want to get into your solo album, Return of the Product. A lot of songs on there that I like. You got to mention Back to the Grill first, of course. Days in a Week, Hits the Head.
Yeah. That album to me is incredibly imbalanced. It's so funny because the dude who produced half those records is calling me right now. Hold on.
Really?
Hold on. Epic Mesa. Hold on. Yo, Brett, hold on. Hey, I'm just doing a podcast. We're just talking about the solo album. Say what's up to DJ Mad Max.
What up, Mad Max?
What's going on?
You can't hear him. He's in my speaker. No, I have headphones. Anyway, we're just talking about, he's asking me about Days in a Week and Hits the Head and all the other good things. But anyway, I'll call you back.
Okay.
All right, I love you, brother. Anyway, that album is incredibly imbalanced because and it's not a disappointment, it's just imbalance because I had just kind of broken up with the group. I married my wife and I just got out of Dodge. And I met Brett Epic Mesa because, he had just produced Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison, biggest record in the street. We had become like best of friends. And I wound up staying with him out in LA for like 6 months. I didn't want to go back to New York. I didn't want to be around anybody. Like I just wanted a new start. And like I said, I become friends with Ice Cube. I became friends with MC8. Like, I just felt comfortable out there. Like I was, being famous in LA is different than being famous in New York. Like it's a different vibe. Like you can walk with your girl and like, and it was so funny because my wife, when she was younger and she wore sunglasses, special sunglasses, or certain, not special, certain, looked like Shanice Wilson, who had a big record called I Love You Smile. Do 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 do, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we'd go to breakfast and she'd wear the sunglasses, somebody'd be like, Shanice, can I have your autograph? It was really funny. So that was my running joke with her when we were in LA. And like just by hook or crook, like me and Brett started making music with his partner, Wolf and Epic. And Wolf had some very like, he's like, yo, let's make Hard But True. Let's make Social Narcotics. Let's really, and he made me think, like I was really in a place where I was like, yo, I got to really be thinking about like some things, man. And eventually I had to come back to New York because Russell and Lior were like, yo, what are you doing? And I said to Chantel, let's go back to New York. We got a house there. We got an apartment there anyway. We had to go check the mail. We're gone for 6 months. But let's go back. And I'm going to submit the record to Russell. And if he wants to sign me to a solo deal, and I played him Here It Comes. And I'll never forget, I'm in Russell's house playing him Here It Comes. And he starts jumping up and down on the bed and making this noise. And he offers me a solo deal, right? And I'm like, oh, that's dope. I'm going to do this, Return to the Product. And I'll never forget, I had Daddy Reef, my man Rob Tulo, who I went to high school with, who's now at The Source, and my man Matty C. And they're both at The Source. And I'm like, yo, these are my boys. We're going to twist one. I'm going to play my music. I'm so excited, yada, yada. Played them the records. They were like, yo, them shit's trash. I'm like, come on, man. I was heartbroken. They're like, yo, we found this new producer. His name is Todd Ray. You need to go hook up with him in Brooklyn. And I'm like, trash, really? They're like, yo, if you're going to come back and you can't be, no, this is just no. I'm like, really? Yeah. So I'm calling Epic and I'm like, yo, we got to talk. I'm going to keep Here It Comes, but I'm not going to keep the other records. Not even knowing what I'm going to make, because I'm now back in New York. I'm going to meet with Sam. I'm going to meet with, like, I'm already like, my two friends who I know forever are telling me it's trash. So I got to like really take another look at this. Yeah. And I meet Todd Ray and I'm in his house and he starts playing me beats and I start losing my mind. And I find out that not only is he playing me beats, he's playing me beats that with no samples. It's all like music that he played or this guy, Anton Pushansky, played. And I always played with keys and I always played clarinet. So like I like music and melody. So I'm like, all right, let's go in the lab. Let's just get in the lab and let's make music. And Chub Rock was a dear friend. Red Hot Lovatone was a dear friend. So we were going to do, and I'd already signed OC. So we were going to already do Back to the Grill again. That was already going to happen. Because we already had the bam, 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 bam. Like because that was me playing the keyboard. Bam, 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 bam.
Oh, I never knew that.
Right. So, so, and it was just like, and then, like that's Anton Pushansky and Todd, and like, it's all live music. And what we do is we take music, put in the Akai, make it sound sampled. We put like compressed, like vinyl sounds underneath it. And I started feeling a certain type of way. Like I felt different about like, and then I got with Skeff Anselm. And I'll tell you a funny story about Skeff in a minute. Well, we're running out of time. But so I get with Skeff because I love Skeff because of what he did with Tribe. And I'm trying to get Wolf and Epic to just understand that I'm not going to be using their records. And Epic's like, cool, like you're my man, cool. But his homeboy Wolf, who was an older dude, he's like, no, we got a contract. He's got to honor the contract. He's got to pay us. And the lawyers start getting involved. I'm like, dude, this ain't about lawyers. It's about music. Like, call your dogs off. And Wolf wound up like almost suing me, like saying like, yo, if Serch doesn't use those records, we're going to sue him for those records. And then I couldn't have money to make any other music. So I told Epic at the time, F you, man, like I'm going to put this record out, but then I'm already working on another album. And like, I'm not going to promote this record and la da 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 da. And I did Here It Comes, and I did the 2 videos, but like I stopped it because even though we had 2 back-to-back #1 records, like I was already through it. Like I did like maybe 5 live shows off that album, and I was already through it because I was trying to work on another album.
Yeah.
And, Russell wanted me to do a 3rd Bass album. He didn't want an MC Serch record. My old partner's record didn't do nothing. I had 2 #1s. I did like almost 500,000 units. My old partner didn't do anything close to that. So he wanted a 3rd Bass record. And I was like, no, because the dude don't respect my wife. Like, and Russell said, oh, what does respect have to do with this? This is music. And I was like, yeah, okay, you don't get it. I'm gone.
Yeah.
So I was like already kind of working on my next record. And like, I was already my mind was already in another place. But I say that to say that like, I listened to that album now back, and I recognized the 2 versions of who I was as an artist. Like there was the one part of me that was in LA that was really wide open. Like I was so accepting of anything and everything. I could identify with things that were in such a broader scope. I was reading, James Baldwin. I was reading, just different things and having a different perspective. And when I came back into New York, that soul in New York just got pulled in me. And all those songs that we made on the New York side with Skeff and T-Ray, like it was just this total imbalance.
Yeah.
But that imbalance allowed me and T-Ray to go make the records for Boss. And, I got to work with Nonfiction. So like I got into my space again.
Yeah. What an incredible story. I never heard any stories about your solo album Return of the Product, especially that you played the keyboard on Back to the Grill.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it was one of those things like, I love, one of the highlights for me was like, the Spin magazine, Bob Guccione Jr. and Alan Light, like to me at the time, Spin was the best magazine on music. Mm-hmm. Like the source was already questionable, like with Dave Mays and John Schechter was leaving, and there was the transition, and Matty left, and he went to work with Biggie, and Rob went to Big Beat, and he was signing Double X Posse, and not gonna be able to do it, and Stretch Armstrong, like all of my people were leaving, and even though I loved Minya O and all of that, and the people that were coming in, like to me, Bob Guccione and those guys at Spin were really doing it right, and their 5 mic system was called Platter du Jour. Mm-hmm. Like every month they had the Platter du Jour, which was a green symbol. And that my album got platted to jour because they said it was a worldly album. And we did. The shows that we did, I was doing sold out shows in Baltimore, and then I was going to like London, and doing Glasgow and doing Glastonbury. I did the first Glastonbury festival in Europe. So like it was a real global view, but it wasn't balanced. It wasn't, and I'll share with you, if you care, besides, the stories we're going to be telling in our upcoming podcast, the Timeless Podcast Company, and, the stuff that we're doing with Big Daddy Kane and the other stories. I'm back in the studio in the first time in 27 years with a new group called the Co-Defendants. So we're going to be putting out a new album eventually.
That's fire. Just to touch on a few points before we get into the White Rapper show is got to mention that you did sign Nas, executive producer on Illmatic. It Was Written. I think as much as Illmatic is considered the greatest album of all time, I think It Was Written was better in my opinion. It Was Written's my number one Nas album. All the way up to 2007 right now with the White Rapper show, VH1, Ego Trip. Did they approach you for the show or did you pitch the show?
Oh, no. It was their show the whole time. Like
okay.
I tell people this all the time. I had nothing to do with that show except be a cast member.
Okay.
I was doing radio in Detroit, 2007.
Serch in the AM.
With Coco and Foolish. And Sasha Jenkins, who's a longtime homeboy of mine, and Elliot Wilson hit me and they were like, yo, pitching the show. Come to New York. It's called the White Rapper Show. We want you to be the host. You're basically going to be judging white rappers. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm in. Like, you don't have to say anything more except I'm judging white rappers. I'm in. And we did the pilot. And I didn't do any television. I've never done television. I lovingly say that I have a face for radio. And about 6 months later, we get a call and they're like, yeah, VH1 picked it up. We need you in New York in like 2 months. And I was very fortunate because at the time, the guy who had hired me in Detroit was like, yeah, man, go do it. If you need to do it, for 3 months, we have a radio station in New York. You can do the morning show from there. Not knowing that they had every intention of firing me. So it was all good. And sure enough, like, I got the boot. And that was okay too. Like, I just radio, especially morning show. Mm-hmm. Again, it was one of those things where I wasn't prepared. So I went to do the show. I spent 3 months in New York doing the show and just had a great time, man. It was just a great time, but opened up so many other doors for me, opened up a chance for me to have my own talk show on TV. Yep. That got, that they tried to pitch. Jim Paratori, may he rest in peace, pitched it for 3 years until he died in 2010. And then we reinvigorated it again in 2013. Almost got picked up in 2014. Came really, really close. Didn't happen. But then led me to kind of creating a multimedia company with my wife. So we have, things that we're pitching all the time. We have our podcast company. We just did a deal with Sony and The Orchard.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, thanks, man. The Timeless Podcast Company. So our first podcast, Did I Ever Tell You the One About podcast, Did I Ever Tell You the One About Big Daddy Kane, will be premiering the last week of April, which is amazing. We've done everything in what we call immersive sound design. So it's an environment besides just an auditory description. We have other shows coming, and we obviously have the Serch Says Podcast, yep. Which Friday we have the White Rapper Reunion Special, which I'm really excited about that, which will also be the official first Serch Says show that is with my joint venture with Sony and The Orchard. So that's on my YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out.
I'm looking forward to that. I remember being in second grade watching that show. I used to love when you'd be...
Shut up, Max. Shut up. Second grade. Jeez, man. Yeah. Make me sound like I'm old.
Yeah. I was in second grade. I used to come home and watch that show on VH1 because the years before that, I remember watching Flavor of Love. And then you had your show on there, the White Rapper Show. I remember when you used to say, "Give me your sneakers," and you throw the sneakers on the telephone wire.
Yeah. That was like the best part. Telling people to step off and give me your sneakers and step off. But throwing the sneakers on the wire became a sport. And I'll share this with you. I don't know which episode it was. It was maybe the 5th or 6th. But I started saying, like, I got to pull a Jay-Z on this one, which was like, I got to walk and do it in one take, right? Sometime the first time I did it, maybe it was like 7 or 8 takes. But there was one episode, and I just said to the whole staff, I'm like, when I walk out, guys, it's one take, I'm done. And the whole crew came out, everybody. And you'll see me, I'm just walking straight, and stage left is the wire, and it's hanging. And I did this. So now there's a camera angle. It's right. The camera was always set up in one spot. And I didn't even look. And it landed right in front of that camera. And obviously there's no sound because we shot it, quiet because we're going to play. But all I heard was, oh! Like it was just the whole crew was like, oh! Right? It was just a great moment, and it was hanging perfect. It was dope. It was dope.
It was a dope show, and you can go watch the episodes on YouTube. You see the final showdown, for no spoilers, of Shamrock and John Brown, and it's all history from there. And I'm sure everyone's going to be tuned into the reunion show.
Yeah, we had some real secrets get revealed on part 1. We wound up having so much content, we wound up having to break it into 2 parts. So part 1 is this Friday, part 2 is next Friday.
That's fire. I'll be tuning in.
I hope so, man.
Where can people tune in, actually?
Well, I mean, they can go to my YouTube channel,
Okay.
MC Serch. It's youtube.com/MC Serch channel. You can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll be making the big announcement that we're going to be partnering with Apple for the Timeless podcast. So the podcast will be not exclusively on Apple, but the ones with additional content will be on Apple. And then you can get them everywhere else, Spotify, anywhere else you love listening to your favorite podcast.
Yes, everyone who's listening right now, please check it out. I want to get into Eminem and the comments that he made to you, saying that you served as a big inspiration to him, even though you didn't think so, but you did.
No, it's not that I don't think so, Max. Here's the thing. What I said, and I still believe this. And I love Marshall, and I want to be real clear. I love Marshall. What I said was that to say that I am a big inspiration is inaccurate, because the artists that he loves, like Big Daddy Kane and G-Rap and P.E. and Dre and NWA and Slick Rick and even Proof and MC Breed are equally, if not more. And look, if you go to the Grammys, when he won his first Grammy, all the artists he mentions, I'm not there. And I'm not, let's be clear, I'm not salty about that, because he showed me so much love in Detroit. But those are the artists that he wasn't truly inspired by. I say this about G-Eazy. I say this about Jack Harlow. I say this about Action Bronson. I say it about any other white rapper. Just because I came first, just because I was there, does not mean I inspired these dudes. G-Eazy was more inspired by Too Short and Mac Dre and Mac Mall and by the Bay Area and the Hyphy records and E40 than he ever was by MC Serch. If he knows anything about me, it's just because he knows the name and that I'm white. Jack Harlow is not influenced by me. He's just not. And it's foolish to say that a dude who rhymed in 1988, 1989, 1990, 1991, or 93, even if you want to go there, can influence a kid who was never born. And again, M is different. Marshall's different.
Yeah.
But all I was trying to say was, as much as I love him for saying that, and I love him. I know he listened and was a fan. And I was blown away that he remembered my lyrics from that, from that record. He mentioned like a deep, deep album cut that he remembered. When he got on that Grammy stage and he pulled out that list and he mentioned those MCs that deserved to be on that Grammy stage before him, with him, after him. That's the point I was trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that that's bullshit. It's because it's inaccurate.
Yeah.
I'm maybe part of a circle of others.
Yeah.
But there are way more MCs deservedly so that come in front of me. Because I feel the same way about Kane, about G-Rap, about Rakim, about Rick, about, Dana Dane, about the Fearless Four, about Kaz, about Cold Crush, about Melly Mel, even about Everlast, his first solo record that when he was down with Rhyme Syndicate, there's a ton more.
Yeah.
And that's all I was saying.
Yeah. I 100% understand what you're saying now, because even Eminem even said that you did inspire him, but he didn't mention you. So I get what you're saying in the Grammy speech, but there are some pictures that I wanted to show to the audience, and it's because you showed some great things for the audience tonight, but this picture right here.
Yeah. That's at our album release party.
Easy, and of course
and me and Easy. Yeah. So I asked him to wear the Raider hat, and I said, would you wear the Gas Face hat? And I think he wound up keeping it. I think we didn't trade. Maybe we did. He might have. I think he asked for it back. I think he might ask for it back.
And then another picture here, you're wearing some Syracuse gear here, and the St. John's fans are probably angry right now, even though they're not in the Big East anymore. We have Ice Cube and yours truly.
Yeah, man. That was at my album. That was at my solo release party. Shout out to, and there's Russell looking real dark and high. Shout out to Ernie Panicola who took that photo. Yeah, man. That was at my solo album. Either that was the solo album party in LA or the Illmatic. One or the other. It was one or the other. I just put up the other photo of that with me, D Barnes, D Nice, Kid Capri, K Solo, Cube on my Instagram. Yeah, man. Shout out to Ernie Panicola. I love Ernie. He's amazing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I've been very blessed, man. I'm on the back nine, so the most valuable commodity I have, Max, right now is my time. Mm-hmm. And
in your show, your podcast, in your podcast, the Serch Says Podcast.
Yeah. And I like to, and it's fun. And the podcast, I really love doing it. My intent is to be the hip hop Howard Stern. Like, I really want to get knee deep into researching my guests and saying things to them that they go, whoa, how did he know about that? Yeah. We have a great research department. I do a lot of research, but I work really hard to make people feel comfortable, to share, great moments. We had, already this year we've had Chris Rock, Questlove,
and Baller, Chuck D.
We've had some amazing people this year, and we got some amazing shows coming up. We have coming up, we have the first female coach who's blackballed from the NFL, female Kaepernick, wow. Jen Welker, Dr. Jen Welker. We're going to have her on the show. She's actually doing her first, real podcast to talk about, being blacklisted from the NFL. Got some other really big guests. I don't want to jinx it, but some other really big guests. And I'm just excited. I love what I do. And I'm glad I got to spend, because here's the thing, this hour that I spent, an hour 15, I'm never getting it back. So if I'm going to spend it, I want to spend it with people that, that value my time. And I'm glad I got to spend it with you.
Thank you, Serch. I appreciate it. Just a quick sports takes here, because we're both.
Oh, yeah. Right. I forgot. Yeah. This is a sports show. Right?
Yeah. Jets, Knicks, and Mets here. You saw the Mets win. You almost saw the Knicks win. You never saw the Jets win. If there's one team out of the two of the Jets or the Knicks, who do you want to see win most?
Not the Mets. because I saw the Mets win.
Yeah, because you saw the Mets.
And also had, I don't know if you know, I also had the Rocket. I had Roger Clemens on my show talking about 86.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't see the podcast, I would suggest you see it because
I'll have to check that one out.
he said that the blood blister was a crock. Anyway, it's an amazing podcast that even Scott Van Pelt like reported on it. But he said that basically he got yanked off the mound, and we're probably thankful. If he didn't do that, we probably would not have won a series. Mm-hmm. But I also, I was there at the Subway Series. I was 2000. I was both at Shea Stadium and Yankee Stadium. Jets or Knicks? Wow. Honestly, because I think the Knicks will do it at least 3 to 4 times before I'm put to earth, I'd like to see the Jets do it once. Yeah. I really thought 2010 with Braylon Edwards and Sanchez, I had my tickets ready.
Yeah.
NFC Championship, I told my wife, I'm probably going to the Super Bowl, and I'm probably going to pay like 50 bands for seats. And she was like, you're out of your mind. Yep. I think the Knicks will do it. I think the Knicks with Thibodeau, I think Thibodeau's a no-nonsense coach.
Yep.
And I think he will not allow Rose, and I don't think he'll allow any of the nonsense that D'Antoni or any of these other coaches allowed in the locker room to deflate a team. I think Thibodeau's a hard ass. And that's what, if you're in New York, you need to stay out of the limelight and you need to be a hard ass.
Yep.
And I think that's where he's got everybody. This kid from Dayton's a beast, needs a jumper, but he's a beast.
Yep.
Taj Gibson is a great leader for at least for the next 2 years. He'll probably be out of here in 2 years. I think we got great youth with RJ Barrett. I think we're going to get 2 more really solid picks in 22 and 23. So I think we got a shot. I think easily the Knicks might pull 3 or 4 before they put me in the dirt. Jets. I mean, it's if I had to pick one, it would be the Jets. I would like the Jets. I don't think they can. I honestly don't think they can do it. I think Todd Bowles, and this is again my limited, experience in knowing the sport, but agents, coaches see the Jets as a paycheck and not a win.
Yep.
And when they fired Todd Bowles, it sent a clear message to the league that they want to blame they don't want to blame the players, they want to blame the coaches. And the players are there to get a check. I did a great conversation with Edgerrin James, Hall of Famer,
Colts,
classic,
Yep.
The Edge, just a beast of a runner, beast of a human being.
Yep.
And he said he approached football like a job. It was his job, which is why he doesn't watch it anymore. He's done. But he said something really important. He said, when I was with the Colts, I trusted Dungy to do his job because Dungy trusted me to do my job.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. I don't think they respected Bowles. And now look at what he did with that defense in Tampa.
Yep.
That defense was Swiss cheese a year ago.
Yep.
Swiss cheese. So I'm glad, and I'm so glad that he was able to rub it in the Jets' face in 1 year. Yeah, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And you see the other Jets players around the league who went from being Swiss cheese to monsters.
Yeah.
Because that organization is a place to get a check. It's not a place to get a chip. And if you don't change the mindset in upper management, it filters all the way down to the guy who collects the towels.
Yep.
So if I were going to pick one, let's be clear, I don't think they can do it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think Sam Darnold's a brick. And it's
agree.
not his fault. And it's not his fault. Here's the thing. They're not going to give him an O-line to protect him. Because the O-line is not going to work that hard to get beat every week, man. You cannot take that kind of punishment without without initiative. You just can't, man. And I know there's a lot of purists who'll say, well, you're getting paid every week to go out there and do the best you can. Yeah, when the team and the organization want the best for you, But if not, it's a check. And look, Dante, my father went to Alabama, so I was born and raised on Bama football, right? Since I'm knee high to a grasshopper.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's the one amazing piece of sports that I have is Alabama football. And that Saban runs an organization that sends 26 kids to the NFL every year. Yep. This year it'll be 35, including top three top 10 players. One of them might go to the Jets. Yeah. Pardon me. Even two might go to the Jets.
Yeah. Devontae Smith and Najee Harris.
Devontae Smith, if Devontae Smith goes to the Jets, he'll be traded in a year.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be traded in a year. Why? Because he's not going to want to get his body beat up for nothing.
Yep.
Najee Harris, maybe he'll last 3. Because a running back, you get 3 years out of a rookie running back before they make a decision like, yo, why am I churning when I can't get through the O-line? And, so you had, McClown, who was a clown.
Yeah.
And now you have Darnold, who's a clown.
Yeah.
And, again, so we're not going to get a quarterback this year.
Don't forget about Adam Gase. He was the biggest clown.
Oh my gosh. So, like I told you, the beginning of every year, January 1st, I have my white elephant, which is I call people that I know that just got money. And I'm talking about with bees money. And I say, hey, can we all get together and buy the Jets? Let's buy the Jets and let's go to Dolan. I know what Dolan's number is. $7 billion. You give Dolan $7 billion, which is way more than the Knicks are worth. Yeah. You get the Knicks. Nobody's going to pay $7 billion when the Clippers were bought for $1 billion. Yeah. And they're competitive. But that's Dolan's number, $6 to $7 billion. The Jets is a whole other thing because
the Johnsons
got a vote on it. You got the owners. It's not even the Johnsons. The league has to vote on ownership. So they're protected.
Yep.
And the Jets make money. But for the inoculated in sports, know that the NBA does 3 to 4% better when New York is a competitive team. And in the NFL, it's almost 5 to 6% better. So it would behoove them to say, yo, fellas, put a competitive team on the field, guys, please.
Yep.
But they won't do that. So, anyway, thanks for getting my blood up. And now I'm not going to get to bed till 4:00 in the morning. Jesus.
Oh, so we have your take there on the Jets. There was one thing I actually want to ask you, Serch, and getting back to the music real quick. And I thought of just something that separates all the other shows that you've been on. Do you have a Biggie Small story?
No, because I didn't know Biggie.
Wow.
I met him. I met Biggie 3 times in my life. I've told all of these stories.
Yeah.
I'll tell it to you if you haven't heard it because I'll share it with you. It's fine. I met Biggie at his album release party. So I said, what's up? Biggie came to a Nas event when they did Party and BS. Mm-hmm. And they all jumped on stage with Nas. And I said, what's up? And the last time I saw Biggie, I was going to see Tech and Sway at 92.3 The Beat in LA. Mm-hmm. They were on the Big Mac tour with Craig Mack and Biggie. Yep. And the on-air personality, the night jock on 92.3 The Beat, had a bit on his show where he was like, yo, this is blah, blah, blah. Leave your name and number after the tone. And it was like, yo, what's up? This is MC Serch. Checking out my man. Like call me back or something, like something stupid.
Yeah. And
the dude was trying to explain to Biggie what to do. And Biggie was like, yo, F you. I ain't doing that. Like, I'm not leaving. What am I, a girl? Like, I'm not leaving that on your phone. Get the F out of here. Mm-hmm. And Craig was trying to explain to Biggie, like, yo, Big, Puff said we got to do all these things. And he told Craig to F off. He's like, yo, man, you want to do that, that I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. So we were all outside, doing what we do outside. And we walked in and Big was there and he was leaning back. He had some chick with him. And he was leaning back and they went into commercial break and I was there to see Tech and Sway. And I said, what's up to Sway? And all of a sudden Biggie goes, yo, Serch. I said, yeah, what up, Big? He said, yo, man. Sorry, you had to see me do that out there. I'm clinically depressed. I have depression. I'm just in a bad space. I'm in a bad headspace. I was like, all right, man. And that was it. Like whether he was telling me the truth or lying, that was it. But that's my Biggie story. Wow. That's it. Like that's it. Whether I'm sure he was just trying to mess with me and he was probably high as hell. But that was like the only conversation I've ever had with Big.
Wow.
And that was it. I don't know Biggie like that.
Crazy. How about a Pac story?
I mean, we'll be here for another hour and my wife wants me to go to bed. Pac was my man. Look, I know Pac, Pac was my man from being a dancer on the Digital Underground tours. When it was Kane, Latifah, Tribe, Third Base, Public Enemy, LL, so, Pac, my favorite memories of Pac was when we were on tour. Shock G would get behind the piano and me and Pac would freestyle till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Just talking about how much we loved each other and how much we loved being on the road, how much we loved hip hop. Any place, any hotel where there was a piano, Shock would play. Mm-hmm. He would have his little brown, his little white, and he would play. And he would play until his fingers cramped up. And we would just be rhyming. That's what we did. I mean, and that was always my relationship. Even when things got crazy, even when things got crazy, this whole East-West thing, Pac was in New York all the time. Like I'd see him at the Palladium all the time. Come up on me, give me a pound. Hey, how's your wife? I'm like, everybody's good, man. How's your mom? Oh, she's good. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, la, la, la. It was always love. Like I never had no problem with him and vice versa.
Such a shame. It's such a shame what happened to two of the greatest artists in hip hop history. And MC Serch, you are in that list 100%.
Stop it. It's not even accurate. I appreciate that you saying that, but that's crazy. It's not even close to true. No, but I love you for saying it. I love you for acknowledging me like that.
You did so much for the culture. You gotta acknowledge it.
And I listen, thank you. And I'm not, thank you. I appreciate that, but I am a very small footnote in this amazing culture that I was allowed to be a part of.
Hey, it's true, man. It's true. From your perspective, from mine.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm taking it with a grain of salt, but I appreciate it. Yes. Thank you.
Serch, is there anything else you would love to tell the audience up here at St. John's? Because this is your home, Queens.
Yeah, no, I just, listen, I love y'all. I love the city. Shout out to my man, Adam Schmidt. Shout out to 5 Borough Beats. Shout out to all my people in the Q Borough. And congratulations to Nasir for his Grammy win once again. Shout out to the Bridge, the 40 side of Vernon. Shout out to just Far Rockaway. Hold your head. And thank you, DJ Mad Max.
Yes.
Hopefully I will see you at Citi Field. My intention is to go to a game. In the meantime, I got them 90 miles south in Port St. Lucie. So I got to go check them out real quick. And thank you. Just thank you for your time, man. Just remember, like, most valuable commodity we have is our time. So don't waste it on anybody.
That's right. You're right, Serch. It was an honor to have you here on my show here tonight. Listen to your music growing up. We'll continue to play your music on my show till the end of time. And anytime you need any promotion, let me know.
I appreciate it.
You're always welcome to come on the show. Of course, it'll be a lot shorter, but anything you need from me.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Max.
All right, Serch, make sure you follow him on Instagram and Twitter at MC Serch.
Yes, that's right. At MC Serch, Serch Says, and also my other down low Cigar Gang, at Cigar Gang. Me and my people, we burn them hard.
All right, Serch, I want you to take care, stay safe, and have a great night, all right?
You have a better one.
Peace, legend.